Okay, lecture component 1 from module 1 covers the foundational elements and some basic information about family counseling. So family, what is a family? A family system. When we talk about families for this semester, we're going to talk about the family system. And we talk about that because working with families, family counseling, requires a systemic perspective. You're recognizing that it's an intermingling of components. It's very complex. A family is a complex system. It's dynamic, and it will surprise you with the processes and the expectations. But it's also related to other systems, right? A family does not exist in isolation. Family norms, patterns, processes, interactional behavior patterns, these things are shaped by the society and context within which the family exists, right? In a family, each individual is related to the other individuals and is related to some other components in a somewhat stable manner. The systems are tangible, they're time limited. The system shifts and changes to accommodate the entry and exit of individual members. And that exit of individual members is particularly interesting because what we know about families is that even as individual members exit, their impact is felt for extended generations. Some of the processes and the ways people interact with each other that get passed down through families are shaped by family members from long before. Some of the core elements of the family system. A family has some rules. These rules are not always articulated outright. They're not always perfectly intentional, but there are some rules that family members abide by. There's some expectations for how we interact with each other. Family members have assigned or ascribed roles. We have roles we play. You may recognize these you may recognize the concept of roles if you live some distance from your family of origin, or if you don't interact with your families often. But then when you get with your family, you find yourself slipping into roles and ways of interacting with others, or expectations of how you'll act, or decisions you would make that may be somewhat different than in other parts of your life. Those roles have some power. Also, the organization of power and the power hierarchy for a family. A family system has a hierarchy. There's some people in the family that hold more power than others or influence decisions in other ways. Family has patterns of communication and methods of communication that are inherent to the family's processes. And those patterns stay you see those methods and patterns of communication to hold true across different sorts of interactions. And families are often resistant to change. A family is a system. A family is a system, and a family is strong. That system, those systemic influences, can be difficult for change. So family counseling, though families are very dynamic and the process is very dynamic, sometimes change is difficult in family counseling. And we'll talk more about that later. How's the system maintained, though? How does a family system get that strength? There's a shared history, there's some shared assumptions and understandings, perspectives, and there's a shared sense of purpose. Unique elements include that the influence spans time and distance. What we know about modern families is that modern families in the U.S. we often experience great distance. Their geographical distance could be related to work expectations. Even families at this point in the U.S. who live closer geographically to each other are often separated by time and connection, in terms of they have many different responsibilities individual members do, and there is less interaction with each other as a system as a whole. And then families are also separated by emotional distance. Members cannot be fully replaced or absent. That's that piece of a family member's impact is felt. That impact shifts and changes the system because of the presence and the absence of the individual. Presence or the absence of the individual. Healthy family systems. The system needs are balanced with individual family needs. Individual family members in a healthy system are able to be successful individually. The system supports that success, and the individual success supports the success of the overall system. There are appropriate boundaries between subsystems. There are a lot of subsystems in families. There's sibling relationships, there's partner-parental relationships, there are relationships across individuals of other similar demographic components. There are a lot of subsystems within families. In healthy families, there's a warmth and caring. There's an expectation that I care about you, and I will want you to be successful, and I want you to be healthy and well. Individual autonomy and independence is supported as appropriate. That's culturally bound. That's a culturally bound issue as well. But within the cultural context of the family, how is individual success and happiness supported by the family? Family system is not functional, which you'll find that the needs of the system are often met at the expense of the needs of the individual. So individuals suffer for the system to maintain and success for the system. That's probably not the term I would want to use. But the needs of the individual take a backseat to the needs of the system, and that needs of the system would not be leading to the success of the system, but it would be leading to the maintenance, like we mentioned before, that families' systems are difficult to change, that maintenance of the status quo for the system, even though it's not positive or healthy or supportive of individuals. Enmeshment prohibits proper development of individual identities of family members, right? So individual family members are less able to develop their sense of self and their success or wellness as an individual to the extent that's culturally appropriate because of enmeshment. They have to always be bound by a subsystem relationship rather than being able to be successful as an individual. Subsystems, they're necessary divisions within a family system. These necessary divisions help to carry out these little subsystems, carry out particular tasks within the system as a whole. Members, we belong to a lot of different subsystems. It's not just one. You're not just in a subsystem. No, there are a lot. There's the spousal, the parental, parent-child, the sibling. Sometimes they're formed by generation, sex, interest, function. These are things that we had mentioned before. But within the subsystem, there exists different levels of power. You use different skills. You have different responsibilities, and there are different outcomes. What are boundaries in a family? How do we talk about the system, and now we're talking about subsystems. When you map out a family, there's so many components to consider. Family counseling is wildly exciting. So when you think about boundaries, they're indivisible lines of demarcation that separate individuals, systems, subsystems from outside surroundings. They can help you distinguish between subsystems, and how these boundaries are permeable impacts how the family system is stable. If their boundaries are too diffuse or if they're too rigid, they invite confusion and inflexibility, and the family can't function appropriately. But appropriate boundaries support the integrity of the subsystems and also allow exchange of information. So you've got open and closed systems. Family systems are healthy based on what is necessary for that family to be healthy. The health of the system is directly related to the system's level of interaction with its environment. In an open system, there's free information exchange with the environment. It says there's a lot. It allows for organizational stability and support because it has a place within the societal context. Within a closed system, the family's closed off from the societal context. There's poor communication within the system across subsystems. Subsystems can't communicate with each other. They don't communicate with the larger environment, and this can lead to disorganization or chaos. No system, though, is totally open or closed. You always have some, like within the parental hierarchy, the parental subsystem, that's closed a little bit to the spousal subsystem is closed to the relationships with the children, in a sense, right? So none are fully open or fully closed. There has to, in a healthy system, you'll find that there is a level of openness that permits sufficient exchange of information so that a family system can adapt and be flexible and respond to changing demands present within the environment. These are just some of the very basic components about a family system, and we're going to be talking about many, many more of these components. But as you start to think about families, think about these components: boundaries, communication, subsystems, how these pieces fit together to form a family system that's healthy, that helps us, promotes the success of the entire family system by encouraging the success of the individual members and support across those, and that caring for each other.